one of the reasons why we wanted to have you down here with the A-TACS team room talk is because we have a lot in common. One, backgrounds in the military, also the tactical games, and some of the training and stuff that you do. Very important work. I know there's some stuff that you do that's really, really interesting. Want to get into a little bit of that and talk about that a little bit. So, but since you do so many things, I made sure that I got a beverage of one of the most interesting men in the world.
Yes.
So we got us reach right over there and pop us a couple real quick.
Oh, that's right.
And our beer openers down there on the side
Oh, you
there.
got 'em?
Yeah,
Oh,
right
look
there.
at that.
See, got to have one of those installed right on the table. We'll leave that right there. Thank you kindly.
Yep. Stella, that's not for you. She's like, all right, beer
Dos
time.
Equis. All right, so we pop a top to the first team room talk,
Already.
and we'll get into this thing. All right. I think my first question for you is, like me, what was one of the things that led you first into the military? And second, mainly, why you wanted to go to SF and what you knew about the mission of SF and what drew you to that? Because that's always a question that people ask me.
Well, the military, I always liked the military since I was a little kid. I was in the civil patrol since I was 11 and a half. Yeah, it kind of lied to get in because you had to be 12, but I got in at 11 and a half. But anyways, I was in the civil patrol ever since. And also when I was way younger, I was in a military academy in Puerto Rico. I only did like 2 years over there, but that was enough to get me interested in the military. So joined the civil patrol. I really liked it. I liked the leadership about it. I like, I always been a leader. I like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that I like. And so I always wanted to join the Air Force, of course, being in the civil patrol. Always wanted to join the Air Force, but I always had that thing for the Army. But, in the civil patrol, got to stay loyal, And so when I went to college, I went to the Air Force ROTC. And I liked it. I did okay until they told me, well, there's not really a lot of slots for pilots in the Air Force right now. We got more pilots than airplanes. And I got like, already. So I look at the Army ROTC over there. They're like, come this way. You want to join us and you want to be a Ranger? I'm like, oh, yes. You want to be a Green Beret? I'm like, Rambo? Why not? Yeah. Actually, it was, to be honest, believe it or not, it was Rambo who inspired me to be a Green Beret.
But strangely enough, a lot of the same reason on this side. Although, at that time, you don't really get the other side of it. You think you see this image, and then once you start getting an understanding really more of what the mission of SF, because a lot of guys have a totally different idea of what it is, and you hear those terms like, international drill sergeant and things like that, but really when you get into foreign internal defense, UW, stuff like that, instead of direct action and those kind of things, there's a much bigger side to that.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely. And I think it was Rambo 3 or 4 where he's with the Mujahideen in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, so then I was thinking about joining the Army ROTC. At that point, I was in my second year. Well, I just finished in my second year. And I go like, okay, this is a transition point. Whether do I go Army and get my commission through them or not? But then I always wanted to be an instructor. And everybody told me, listen, if you want to be a black hat, if you want to be any kind of instructor, if you're an officer, you're not it. You got to be an NCO. And I go like, well, that sold me. I went straight to the recruiter. Like, he didn't have any problems recruiting me. I went over there. I went like, I want to take the ASVAB. By the way, I want to join the Army. I want to be a Green Beret. And they're like, well, you gotta be an E4 first before you can go to selection and all that. And I'm like, all right, so which other way I got? And they're like, well, you want to be airborne? And I'm like, definitely want to be airborne. So that's how I went, went infantry, straight to the infantry. And, and everything just rolled from there. And then, of course, all my NCOs were former Ranger bad guys in the 82nd, former Ranger bad guys. Almost all of them ended up in group anyways.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of my NCOs ended in 7th group and 3rd group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, we just had a friend of ours, Chris Alvarez, come down and pin his wings on his brother. And, I think because I actually served for a little while as an instructor in the 507th. And I think probably for us, the gateway to everything else really cool, at least what we think is cool in the military, because there's lots of great jobs, but, everybody's got to come here to Fort Benning. Everybody's got to go to airborne school, no matter what part of SOF that you go into in the Department of Defense. So it was a really neat thing to be able to pin wings on guys, because that's the gateway. So
That is amazing. I love it.
yeah,
Love it.
I mean, when you get to pin a set of wings on a guy for the first time, and that opens so much stuff up to you, going to the 82nd Airborne, going to LURS, Ranger Regiment, so on and so forth. I always thought that that was a really neat thing, was the first step was getting your airborne wings.
And that is true, because like you said, no matter what soft unit you're going to,
Yeah.
one of the first things you got to do is go to airborne school.
It's the gateway.
So if you already got that, you
Yeah.
know, in your toolbox, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, so you, I know, after you left the 82nd and you went through selection at that point.
Well, I left the 82nd and I was assigned to Panama.
Okay.
Just finished pre-ranger. This is hilarious. Just finished pre-ranger. They were like, "You're going to ranger school." At the same time, my re-enlistment have come up, and they said, "Hey, listen, this open up for Panama, because you only got 1 year if you want to go to Panama, and they're gonna shut down Panama. So it's your
wow.
last chance to go to Panama." Of course, Sergeant Majors being Sergeant Major, they're like, if you take that assignment to Panama, even that you leave in a year, you're not going to ranger school. And I go like, ranger school, Panama.
Yeah.
I can always go to ranger school. Panama
yeah.
shuts down in a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I go like, Sergeant Major, love you to death, but I'm going to Panama. Oh yeah, I was a shitbag after that. But no, I was not. Actually, my NCOs backed me up. They're like, hey, listen, it's his career, and it's an opportunity that any of us would have taken anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So ended up going to Panama to the infantry over there, 587 infantry. Spent a year over there. It was amazing. From there, I went to selection, actually. While I was in Panama, I went to selection, and once we shut down over there, went straight from there to the Q course.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that, you know, always kind of funny, because I was a little surprised the other day. I pulled out some of this stuff for the team room here, and I was really surprised. I opened up this first edition of the Green Beret books, and my regimental supper and my two pamphlets came out from regimental supper and the graduation. So I was able to thumb back through there and get to look at everybody that graduated with me, and a lot of great people in there. Very small, man. It's when you really look back at those pamphlets, there's not that many people in each one of the MOSs, at least at that point in time.
No,
So-
I remember when I went to selection was 188
Yeah.
and like 49, I think, finished,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
30 something got selected.
Yeah, that's pretty small. My selection class started out 360, something like that, and I think at the end it was like 60 or something out of that 360 that actually made it through. And you don't really realize at that time, even when you make it, you can make it through selection all the way, you know, uninjured and all that kind of stuff. And that's just the start, because you lose even a few more people during the Q course. But I digress on that part. So you started out and you were a Bravo as well, correct?
Yes, I was an 18 Bravo, yes.
Yeah. So, and I know you did that for a while. I was a Bravo as well. At what point and what was it that made you think, hey, I want to be that long-serving guy on a team and be a warrant?
Well, first of all, I started realizing, I started seeing, the first few years, I went through a few captains. And we're like, oh my God, these captains are coming in and going. And, of course, I understood that from, I go like, okay, well, I like being an NCO. I like everything that is going on. However, I think it was first trip to Afghanistan. It was a long trip. It was 9.5 months. And I saw a lot of things. I was like, you know what? This is crazy, because I seen a lot of guys that are going from E7, and they're trying to say, listen to me. I got this idea, or I got this. Not good enough. You get the same guy the very next day coming into the team room with a W1 rank, and he said, hey, I think about this. Oh, Chief, that's a good idea. I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. It's the same guy, same experience, but the captain is not listening, because So I was like, and then I saw a lot of things, unfortunately, in Afghanistan that I didn't like, and I was like, you know what? I want to be part of that decision-making process, because even that, as an NCO, you are part of that, but you're not ultimately making those final decisions.
Yeah.
But when you're the top three, you are.
Yep.
And I go like, you know what? I want to be part of that final decision-making process, that final decision. I want to be part of that. I want to be able to say yes or no, or I do not advise this, sir. Right? Because that's your job as a warrant, right?
Yeah.
So So at that point, I go like, you know what? Yeah, this is something I got to do. Plus, other people have approached me, and it's funny because a lot of people seen a warrant like the guy that ran away from the NCO court. Now, I love being an NCO. Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't need to get promoted. Actually, I was just promoted to E7 when I became a warrant. So
Yeah, yeah.
getting promoted was not a problem for me. It was just that I thought that was a calling. I needed to do that. I thought I could serve the team better that way. Other NCOs even approached me and told me, hey, JP, you should be a warrant.
Yeah.
It's like we need people like you.
Yeah.
I had other warrants that also told me, JP, you should be a warrant. So at that point, I go like, you know what? That's what I'm doing, and that's when I make that choice.
Interesting. And, at least, there's always, of course, a different perspective from the outside than the inside, and you see things like that that shape the direction that you're going in. And, we don't want to get too big into that debate about, the branch and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, the top four, the Foxes, the warrant officer, the team sergeant, team leader, there's a lot of decision making there. And from the, senior juniors of all the MOSs within the team, you kind of get a perspective of what you want to do next. And, as it kind of got a little bit more corporate and everybody got that, 24 months of team sergeant time, team leader time,
Yeah.
move up to the company and all that kind of stuff, it really did make being a warrant kind of appetizing,
Exactly, yeah.
because back in the day, there was a lot of people that made a decision to be an SF that kind of gave up that climbing the ladder to do what they wanted to do, which was be on a team. And that was the one thing that being a warrant was pretty cool, that you could stay on a team and influence a team for a long time and be able to serve with those guys. It kind of kept you in place, which is a neat choice to take. I probably would have done the same thing if I had the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, and because of that, I did a lot of team time, which is
Yeah.
great. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
why you join SF, right? You want to be in a team.
Of course,
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah.
we used to fight every time they go like, oh, I think the B team is looking for somebody. No, not me,
yeah.
not me.
Yeah, and and always on the same thing, you kind of, guys ask you, you think you do learn a lot, in the Q course and everything, but what I really found, one of the things that was surprising to me was how much I learned after, and what I mean by that, and I'm sure you probably agree with me, was operating globally, knowing the major airports around the world, setting up itineraries, travel plans, where are you going, that MDMP, that decision making,
Yep.
of how you're doing things. I learned a lot more, pre-deployment, PDSS, things like that, going off and going look at things and come back and deploying. Pretty neat process.
Yeah, I tell guys that all the time when they tell me, oh my God, I graduated the Q course. I'm a Green Beret now. And I'm like, no, you just earned your Green Beret.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not a Green Beret yet. You got a lot to learn,
Yeah,
because there's still a lot to learn. The Q course gives you only the basics.
Yeah, yeah.
And once you get to a team, there's so many things that they don't teach you in the Q course that
Yeah.
you need to learn. So I say it takes a few years before you actually go like, okay, now I understand what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's right. And like I said, the advance parties, pre-deployment site surveys,
Yep.
that kind of stuff, go down range on your own, going and
Yep.
being the eyes and ears for the team, and then coming back and briefing, and then everybody deploys out or whatever. Those are some neat things that you start to learn now. Post-military life, those lessons that you learned as a leader in SF, and those lessons learned from what you saw on active duty, how did that lead you into Nos Defiones Group and some of the other things that you do within that company? I know a lot of us, like myself, it's working with A-TACS and doing the brand partner stuff that I do, working with those companies that supply military law enforcement units. That keeps me connected to the community. We're close here to Fort Benning. Spent a lot of time at Bragg up there seeing those guys as well. That keeps me in touch with the community, and I'm sure that's that commitment to serve. You never seem to
Yep.
want to stop serving, do some time with law enforcement or whatever. How did that transition into Nos? What led you into Nos Defiones Group, and what do you do within that company?
So to be honest, in the beginning, I was just doing it as a way of, justifying my taxes, because I'm doing independent contractor, right? So everybody tells you right away, oh, if you're going to do independent contractor, you want to get your LLC, you want to get that established, this and that. That way there's a lot of tax benefits or what, so, with that. I'm like, okay, great. So I started doing it that way. Then as I started doing contracts, I started getting phone calls from people going like, I need this type of training, especially in Puerto Rico. I need this type of training from my police. I started getting phone calls from even group, our own brothers going like, hey, I need role players. I need this type of training.
Yeah.
And I go like, okay, well, now it's just bigger than me, right? And at first I was not going to do it. I was going to be like, no, I'm just doing me. That's it. It was other brothers like Benny Rios and Carlos de Jesus, other guys that I worked with before, and go like, JP, why not? It's like, do it. It's like anybody who worked with you when you were a team leader in a team, they will love to work with you now. They know the way you work, and I'll do it. And they actually worked with me for a while. And so I go like, okay, well, if you guys help me, I'll do this. So they started helping me. Of course, eventually they moved their own way. And I go like, okay, now I'm alone again. I'm going to shut this down. And they told me, no, JP, I want you to think about this. And I go like, okay, you don't need it. You got a retirement. You got your compensation from VA. You're good. You pay your bills with that because you don't have no bills. So you're good. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, and then they started mentioning names. Remember so-and-so? Remember so-and-so? Remember so-and-so that worked this contract with us? And so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah. They don't get any VA. They didn't get to retire. They left early. They're hurting right now. And it was because of those contracts that you put into work, they were able to pay some bills.
Wow.
Thanks to you. And I go like, holy snap.
Wow.
I didn't realize
that's cool.
that. So at that point, I stopped looking at Nos de Fions as me. I started looking, it's like, how am I going to be able to impact my own brothers that need work, that I can put them to work and keep their skills sharp?
Yeah.
So that's when I started realizing this more than just me.
Wow.
And I started bringing in contracts on purpose just to put guys to work. A lot of contracts I didn't even work myself. I put the guys to work. And I'm like, you guys got paid, I'm happy. Of course, with that, a lot of great things come. People appreciate that, and they start bringing in more business.
That's an interesting perspective on that, and that being at those top 4 level guys on a team, you're looking out for the other guys on the team.
Exactly.
And that's an interesting thought on that is you're also helping out the brothers, which out here in a lot of ways is a big deal. I mean, we talk to even with the guys like right now we're working with through the tactical games, we're still very close. I mean, Tim Burke, Chris Alvarez, Rick Hogg, the guys that are involved in that stuff, there still is a really tight, a lot of guys really take that stuff real seriously. There's some that don't, but you got to kind of watch out what you're doing with some people. But there's some people that really look out for each other. So I like that perspective about, you looked at No Stefionis Group and it was a way to keep brothers around you, but you were also looking out for them in another way, keeping people employed for things that needed to be done.
Exactly.
Role players, things like that up around Bragg. Off-site training that's going on even with different services, even the MARSOC guys. Got another buddy of mine, Dave Miller, that's down here at Rucker, and he's doing some SEER training right now down there. So interesting stuff.
Yeah. I was a G chief for MARSOC for 5 years over there at Derna Bridge. So
Yeah,
that
cool.
was interesting.
Yeah. That's, within other than just training stuff that you do, and, within what you want to divulge, because I know there's some trade craft and field craft there, some of the other things that you do are pretty interesting within No Stefionis Group that you do. What are some of those other things that you do if you want to talk about them?
So besides training, we do all kind of services, high-risk protection, threat vulnerability assessments. We do red teams. But one of the things that we involved for, I want to say we started about the last 2 years, was hostage rescue, but in the sense of kidnapping for ransom. So we were called to be advisors on kidnapping for ransom, and then we end up actually going and doing the rescue with the locals.
Yeah.
Then for last year, we heavily got involved in human trafficking recovery. So instead of being, and not taking anything away from the guys that do all the computer stuff and find all these predators and create this amazing package that are turning to law enforcement.
Yeah.
That's not the part that we do. We do the part where now this person is out of the country, out of the reach of what law enforcement here in the States can do, and now we know he's in a location. That's when we come in.
Yeah.
those are private contracts. Unfortunately, we don't have the money to be having guys out there for weeks doing surveillance, intelligence and all that. Private contracts, we go out overseas, we link up with local authorities, whether it's law enforcement or military. A lot of them we have trained or we know somebody there already.
Yep.
So they go like, come in with us, you got our authority, you're here with us, and then we go and do the rescue.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. I want to say it's one of the most gratifying things I've done.
Amazing. I mean, it really is neat, and that's where I was, kind of throwing that out there about a little bit of trade craft, because that was one of the questions that was asked to me about you that I was going to bring up was, when you go down there, and I know from a lot of time overseas, my time overseas, spent a lot of time with the Ministry of Defense guys. You start building relationships with people within the military, law enforcement, things like that. You start kind of getting the lay of the land in the areas that you're working in. The question that really gets right to it, when you finally know where that HVT is, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
When you go in there to go get them, do you coordinate with the law enforcement, or is it something better that you kind of keep to yourself?
We do coordinate with local law enforcement with a specific group within law enforcement. Unfortunately, and this is a problem around the world.
Yep.
A lot of times, local law enforcement
That's right.
is even involved
Yeah.
in covering those human trafficking routes or even protecting them.
Circle of trust.
Yeah, so we have to be really careful who we work with. And normally are the right people. We know who to reach out to. It's a small circle. And we talk to them. We tell them this is what we got. And they said, Roger, it's our mission, but you guys go with us.
Yeah.
And normally a lot of times they give us lead on the planning and everything like that. Because, we train them in the past, so they know what we can do.
Yeah. I mean, extremely interesting, and those kinds of jobs, I mean, that's a pretty interesting job to be able to do that, to go out and provide that service to somebody that really needs help from somebody that spent a lot of time overseas and knows how to coordinate that kind of a rescue,
Yeah.
really to go get somebody out of a bad situation. So very interesting. The No Stefionis group, what they do, what you provide to the community, the SF community, the military community, all very, very interesting. So for a lot of those guys, I'll lead right into this next thing. Keeping them skills sharp, physically fit, mentally fit, shooting, physical fitness, all that stuff. We've got a good friend that has something going on out there that we're involved in, that we have a lot of our friends involved in, that from the inception when I saw it, I just thought, wow, I mean, how do you catch lightning in a bottle? Like, CrossFit, 3-gun, Spartan Challenge type stuff, or outdoor adventure races, The tactical games was something immediately that A-TACS, I discussed with my partner, Phil Duke, that we wanted to be involved with that because we knew what kind of people it was going to attract. And, through the tactical games, we've gotten to know you, Chris Alvarez, Mike Pentacata, Rick Hogg, and some other great people, to include Tim and his crew and all the battle bosses, and get to go to those events and watch people really test themselves, and I think that's one of the things you'll probably agree with me. Every time when you get new kit, you get a new rifle, you have to become proficient with those things and really test them out to see if they work, and test yourself out, your mental strength. And I think the tactical games is probably one of the things out there that brings that whole thing together. You're really testing it. And as a head battle boss, how have you enjoyed working with that?
I love it. I love it because, I see a lot of SWAT guys, law enforcement guys, SWAT guys that go over there. We got retired special forces guys that go over there, and then we got active duty guys that go there.
Masters.
Yes, the masters. I think the retired guys have more fun because they really don't care. They're just out there. They're trying to prove to themselves that
right.
their bones still work.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can still run. Oh my God, it is impressive. So, but it's fun to watch how there's other people that because you got a lot of the retired guys, they've been tested plenty of times.
Yeah.
So they got nothing to prove to anyone. They just go over there and they have a good time.
Yeah.
Then you got the people that they never even been tested themselves. They haven't even tested themselves. They go out there and they start pushing hard, and then they go like, wow, I never knew that I can do this. I never knew that I could finish this.
So
And
what are the levels? What are the levels for participants, for people that don't know?
so you got intermediate, which is you're all the way until 44 years old, and then you got your masters. They start at 45 until whatever. We had I think it was
72.
72
Was it
year
72? I saw him.
72-year-old. No. In this last one, we had an 80-year-old.
Was it? Oh my God, older than
We
that.
had an
Wow.
80-year-old. He didn't look like 80. He looked really good, but he was 80. And so you got the masters. Then you got the leads. The leads are basically I don't care about age group. I'm
my
just
goodness.
a badass, and I'm gonna go out there and execute. Right?
Yeah.
I want to compete against everyone. I want to compete against the best. And then they just added a new that is the light division. The light division basically competes for no awards, no trophies. It's you going out there and doing your best.
Okay.
If you can finish that event, you don't get any penalties. If you can carry the sandbag, then you can carry it empty. That's great. Whatever. It's just you going out there, testing yourself, and having a good time.
Yeah.
And we had a few of those in this last one. And they did amazing. I mean, they just finished. They just gave their best. But
Wow.
so those are divisions. You got the light, you got the intermediate, the masters, which we call the old crusty man division.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then
I'd slide right in there.
exactly by what? July, I'll be in the masters as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
so
Hard to stay out of there.
that's right. And then you have the elite division. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think we've been to just about, A-TACS has been to just about all of them. I think we've missed 3 or 4 of the events or whatever. We try to make it to all of them. The networking there has really been amazing. I mean, there was, at least for us here at A-TACS, there was one company that I'd been chasing for a while that I really wanted to get partnered up with, and just, by chance, Brute Force Bags ended up being one of the sponsors of the tactical games, and got to meet a couple of the guys down there, the master trainer guys from Brute Force Bags, and very quickly, I was in contact with the owner of the company, Justin, and right now we're actually producing bags for the tactical games right now. So we'll be switching a lot of the bags over to A-TACS Ghost bags. It's been a really cool working with Justin to try to get those bags online, get them things in use at the tactical games. Like I said, it's sometimes hard for me to sit on the sidelines. I sit down there. I'm there for a specific mission. I want to, network and coordinate our company to be involved in the tactical games again, because we want to deal right with those end users, those law enforcement guys, military guys, and just tactical athlete people that want to get out there and spread the A-TACS name. Last one that I was real excited, and I'll get on that subject in just a second. One of the things that we were wanting to do was get with High Speed Gear. So High Speed Gear is introducing a line of IX products and Ghost products.
Nice.
And the tacos, the belts. High Speed Gear is going to be doing a lot more with A-TACS and a lot more with the tactical games. And they've just, there is a ton of people at the tactical games that use tacos.
Yep.
So this is going to be a great product to bring online with a lot of those guys. I was very fortunate again within us here at A-TACS to have the connection that we have with you from our background to bring in Mike Pentacata from Zulu Ops, yourself from No Stefionis Group, Rick Hoggs from Warhog, Chris Alvarez from Green Ops. Amazing bunch of guys, and I was surprised, when I came to each one of you and said, what we need is we need kind of a group of guys that have a background to be able to test and use gear and say, hey, this is a quality piece of kit right here. None of us are really snake oil salesmen, we try to be all those values that we were taught in the military. You want to vet these things and try it out and test your mettle. Everything within the tactical games is serious, because there's a lot of serious competitors there. These products that we use are really important. A-TACS likes to work with upper end companies. I mean, we really want to have quality companies like Brute Force Bags, High Speed Gear, Ultima Footwear, on and on and on. There's some good ones out there. Vet those products, and within our TAC Pros team, which you're a part of, which will be using some of these products not only within your training companies, but within the tactical games, and really get some valuable feedback from people that people have, it's kind of like we're talking about these levels within the tactical games. These people are coming in that maybe it's their first time being introduced to something like this. They don't have years of being handed gear and saying, here, use this, and you're testing it going, this is garbage, and this I'm assimilating, and this is staying in my kit bag. This is garbage, this I'm keeping. So that background and looking at some of these products is extremely important. And we appreciate that about you coming in and working with us, being here on the podcast, and helping us with some of that, vetting this gear, and for the tactical games and use in some of these training companies. So what's some of the stuff that you've seen that's real popular within the tactical games so far?
Oh, are you talking about
any products individual? I mean, things that you see that are real important in the games, even within training.
Well, one thing that I noticed, a lot of people are having issues with their play carriers. It's like they just see something online, it looks pretty, they buy it, they put it on, then when they're in the games, they realize it's not practical.
Yeah.
It don't work the way they thought. So play carriers is a big problem, because not only they need to be lightweight, they need to be comfortable, but still provide, all the carry.
Yeah. There's requirements.
Yeah, there's requirements.
There's requirements,
Yes.
but you got to be able to pick a good piece of gear.
Exactly. A lot of people are having problems with holsters.
There's a good one.
The big debate whether do I use a leg holster? Do I keep it in my belt? What do I do?
Yeah.
And so one thing that I tell a lot of people is this: is like it all depends what you're going to the tactical games for. Are you going there to enhance the skills that you already have in order to be able to use them, or identify holes in your training in order for you to use that for your line of work?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that, then use exactly what you use for your line of work. Don't try to adjust for the games, because you don't going to be able to use that in your line of work. Now, if you're going there just for competition, yes, by all means, adjust everything that you need for competition for the tactical games. So that's the best advice I can give people when they go there to do that. One thing that I do like when it comes to A-TACS products and anything like that is that you get immediate feedback.
Yeah.
At the games.
Exactly.
Like, people will come straight to you after a battle and they go like, oh my God, I love these pants, and this is why.
Yeah, yeah.
They were great, or this belt is amazing, and this is why, So you get that immediate feedback. Just like I know I don't post a lot of the tactical stuff that Nos Defiance do on Instagram, so you don't see us doing all the tactical stuff that we do. But I do come to you and tell you feedback on certain products, pants, and things like that after we do it. So I think that's a great asset right there, not only for the athlete because they're talking directly to you, but also for you because you're getting that direct feedback from the end user.
And I think Tim was really, really smart bringing in guys of that caliber with that background, and they know as battle bosses for us, and to be completely candid, being partnered with the tactical games, we wanted our battle bosses, out there wearing A-TACS, so people were seeing the patterns. Patterns are a bit Gucci, unless they're used for what they're meant for, which is concealment. But, we have these brand partners out there, and we want options. People want to be different. They want to look different. And we've got some cool patterns. So I think having the battle bosses, having partnered up with Tim, that's been a big asset to us. Jump on exactly what you're talking about. A lot of these guys that go into the games and they're for the first time vetting some new products that they bought. One of the things that Tim wanted to do is offer up a official Tactical Games gear, and we've been talking about that for a bit. We're trying to find out exactly what that fit is right now. We have some things that we're talking about. And as well, for those people that want to use that gear and polish those skills, they've come up with something we'll chat about for just a second, which I think is very cool. The Tactical Games University.
That's correct, yes.
So the Tactical Games University, I'll let you elaborate on that, but our good friend Rick Hogg is running that over with Warhog right now.
Yep.
Another guy with an amazing background. You can go find out about that yourself and find out a little bit about Rick and Warhog, but I think he's a great person to be running that. And tell us a little bit, if you know a little bit more about the university, what that entails.
Yeah, so basically the university tries to get you ready for the tactical games in the sense that it brings you from basic skills. It utilize the same equipment that you're using at the tactical games, i.e. the brute force sandbags.
Yep.
You got sleds. You're using grizzly targets, which is the same targets that you're using at the tactical
great
games.
Sponsor, Grizzly.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
Sean is great.
Grizzly targets.
Very, very elite. And then you also have, shooting barricades and all that. So
a good one, a big one, can't forget rope climbing, which is tough
Yes.
with kid on.
So
there are a lot of techniques for that.
So what they do is what Rick has done is he start implementing these basic skills to get you to be better, because a lot of people are great at rope climbing, but when they're gonna go and shoot, they're not that great.
Yeah.
Or they're great at shooting, but they can get over a wall. So what Rick is doing is trying to get everybody to, all right, you're going to be good, might not be great.
Kind of that baseline
You're
training.
going to be good at everything, and then you can start building from there.
Yeah.
And the Tactical Games University is getting guys there. It's getting guys that exposure and that experience to get better. Without the pressure that they're at the games, they're competing against somebody else.
Exactly. Training before execution.
Exactly.
So I think that the Tactical Games, for anybody getting ready to participate in one of the events for the Tactical Games, should definitely check that out. If they maybe don't have that background in military and law enforcement, basic type training, that's a great place to go test the waters a little bit and see how you do, get some of those basic skills, because we still always want to run these events safely and be able to walk away from those with at least the pride of finishing without an injury.
Exactly. So you're over there hanging out with my dog, by the way. My dog she loves you.
Yeah, she's sweet. She knows she's a service dog. She knows I got issues.
We all do. I think we all should.
Yeah.
We should be issued a service dog when we retire.
That's right.
Here you go.
Yeah, she's a sweet dog. So speaking of service dogs.
Yeah.
Speaking of service dogs, one of the other things that you're doing right now, the many things that you do, one of the things you're doing is the VTSR.
Yes,
Is that right?
the Veteran Transition Support Recon Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know some of the players in that, but who's all working with you with that, and what is it about?
So you got Nate the Hollander, Canadian. Don't judge him for
Canadian,
that.
yeah.
And then you got Mike Pintakura as
yeah,
well.
okay, Mike.
You got Kristen Buxton from ODA Tactical and Apparel. She's kind of like our editor.
Yeah.
We send her all the write-ups, and she goes like, horrible writing. I'll fix it. So
And she owns ODA
Tactical and
ODA
Apparel.
Tactical
Yes.
Apparel, and she's also working with the Special Forces Foundation.
As well, yes. She's
a busy girl.
She is a busy girl, but
Yep.
she likes to help. She got
Yeah,
such a big
that's
heart.
awesome.
And then we also got Carla, which is Mrs. North Carolina 2019.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
is the one that manages all the social media and our calendar, basically our own pay producer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Her husband's a service member as well, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes. So BTSR is basically we want to, because everybody got podcasts to talk about the military life or the civilian life after. Nobody talks about the hard times of transition, and that transition time is very critical. You either make it or it breaks you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you have to stop and the life is over, right? So we bring a lot of people and talk about their own experience in transitioning. And not only that, is how did they even overcome that, right? So I got out. Mike was talking about, like, he said, I got out and I found a bottle and I was just drinking.
Yeah.
Because I felt worthless. Like, I got nothing to do. You know, you got no purpose. So we tell people to always find a purpose. But we bring great people. We brought, actually, from SHOT Show, TJ Tejada, which was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Got blown up, right? So got no legs. He's in a wheelchair. And, oh, my God, his perspective on life should be an inspiration for a lot of people.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm a leader. So
Yeah.
I got to show my family that there's no quitting. We move forward.
Yeah.
That's it. I just got to adjust to be in a wheelchair now.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. So at VTSR is really great. We try to bring in, because it's not only for military veterans, it's also for first responders. You know, you got firefighters, you got law enforcement. A lot of people don't realize, you know, that the EMS, you know, EMTs, and they see a lot of stuff daily.
Yeah.
Now, we go to combat, right? We come back. We don't have to drive by the same place we just killed 20 Taliban, right?
Wow. Yeah. That's a
These
good
guys
point.
got to drive every day by the same place. They just saw a family get killed last night. You know, a little guy get run over. Somebody died on their table or whatever it was. They see that. They see those places every day, so they can run away from that. They live there. So we like to see all those perspectives from different people. And how do they overcome that, you know, find help?
That's a really interesting perspective about the first responders, and we talked about a little bit before about that being compelled to serve, you know.
Yep.
A lot of those guys, you know, my post-military time, you know, I wanted to still get out and teach and train and be around those first people. I've done a little bit of time as a reserve deputy and worked here with a local sheriff's department. Also done some contracting with the military, and you know, I tell people a lot of times, at least for me, you know, and it's for a lot of military members, you know, it gets in your blood like a disease. I mean, it just kind of, it's always there, you know.
Yeah.
You kind of always want to come back to that community and be around like-minded people that, just like we're sitting here and talking about, you know, all these experiences and background and groups of people that we kind of, you know, end up gathering around. You know, there's some really, really cool people out there that had the fortune of, I mean, gosh, man, I mean, it's amazing some of the people. We were just sitting here looking through these, you know, qualification course tablets we were just looking at, you know, and I mean, you look in there and there's just some amazing people in there that you got to serve with, and you keep seeing them. I mean, within this industry, I run into people all the time, and I just like, it's great seeing them and hanging out with them, and we go to the tactical games, or whether it's, you know, the foundations that we work with. I absolutely love supporting the Green Beret Foundation, the Special Forces Foundation, Special Operations Wounded Warriors. Like I said, there's some amazing people out there within the community that's given a lot for our country. And I don't know, man, I'll tell you what, we better wrap it up. I tell you, we could sit here.
Yeah, we can talk all day.
We could just sit here and keep circling around on lots of subjects. JP, you were definitely one of the people that I wanted to have on the team room talk. You know, we're in our own team room of our own, you know, as friends and industry partners, and we appreciate you coming down here and
thank you for the invite, man.
And sitting and chatting with us. I know you came all the way down here, you know, in the rain. It's been raining like crazy, and we love having you down here. So
I appreciate it.
We really appreciate everything you do for the SF community, the brothers, and for us, for A-TACS.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks,
Anytime.
man. Thanks, man.
Love you,
All
man.
right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, and while you have a chance, stop by and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure that you ring that notification bell